Shaun Walker. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. I really appreciate you coming to the podcast today. Um, we'll dive into quite a few different things here today, but I think the one thing I'm excited to talk about is golf and golf simulators. And even though I'm not a great golfer, I love to play golf for sure. So I love the hardware aspect of all the simulator stuff. I love playing outdoors. I love all of those things, but that's what I'm really pumped to talk to you today about as well. But we're also going to talk about your journey with CAJO Healing Therapies as well a little bit,
Okay.
and what that looks like, and a little bit of your faith and kind of your life story. So
Okay.
excited about that today.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about your early on life and how you grew up?
So early on life, like
Let's
where do you want
start
me to pick
from
up?
like day one, and let's talk about um, what your home life looked like. You know, kind of walk me through where were you born, those types of things.
Okay. Born Mansfield, Ohio. Kind of have stayed in that Mansfield area my whole life. Um, I was the oldest of three. I have a middle brother, Jonathan, and then my younger brother, Logan, was adopted. Early on, I remember my parents had done foster care, and Logan had come along, and I think he was only like a couple months old, like 4 or 5 months old, and we got him, and we all just fell in love with him. Then my parents asked Jonathan and I if we would like to have another brother. They said we've got a potential opportunity to adopt Logan, and we were all for it. So that was I was probably 4 or 5 at the time when that happened. So from that point on, it was the three of us, and we got into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Boys growing up in the country. My dad owns an excavating company with his brother. My mom, kind of like a stay-at-home mom, uh, would help out with like church stuff, and she would go to the school events and stuff. And we had a lot. We didn't have iPads or iPhones to play on. I think we had a Super Nintendo. We didn't even have cable or anything like that growing up. So we would play outside. We spent a lot of time at the creek we lived next to. We would make boats out of egg cartons, and just a pretty good childhood. Um, I think of it as like three boys on an adventure, and that that's about how every day went. We had a hill. If it snowed, we sled. We'd ride bikes up and down. We were all BMX stars, and we'd build a little ramp, and we'd try to do tricks on it. We had a tree house. It was just a good childhood. Nothing crazy.
Gotcha. So do you ever get into any kind of trouble growing up or anything like that?
Mischief more than like actual trouble. One time we thought it would be cool. Our treehouse had like support legs on it, and we thought it'd be cool to kind of see what it would do if we chopped one of the legs off. So we didn't have any power tools or anything, so we had little pocket knives, and we would like whittle away at the leg, and it looked like somebody had like a big rat had come and tried to like chew through it, or like a beaver or something. Um, just roughhousing with each other. It was typical boy stuff, but nothing too serious.
Gotcha. So no legal trouble growing up. I mean,
No.
your parents are always pretty straight-laced people.
Yeah. grew up going to church Sunday night, Wednesday night, and then if they had like church events or something through the week or on the weekends, we would do that. So not a whole lot of trouble. I mean, other than we made a guy from church had given us, I don't even know what it was, if it was like a weather balloon type thing, but it was this huge balloon, and it was like thick, like not like a standard like water balloon where you throw it and it pops. This thing was huge, and we filled it up with water, and it was big, so we wanted to see how much it weighed. So we're in the bathtub filling this thing up, and we go to transfer it to the scale, and we're holding on to it, and we set it on the scale. It weighed 30 pounds. So we weren't even halfway full on the balloon. So we put it back in the tub, fill it up some more. And this time when we went to move it to the scale, it took two of us to lift it, hold it, to keep it from spewing out everywhere. We set it on the scale. It was like 52 pounds. When we went to move it back into the tub, it popped, and all that water went over the bathroom. And it was, we didn't grow up in a large house by any means. The bathroom, maybe 100 square feet or so. And there was 2 inches of water on the floor. We went downstairs, and it looked like it was raining inside, just water dripping from the ceiling. The downstairs was flooded. And Mom didn't know we were doing any of this because she was out mowing. And when we told her that we had a water balloon pop in the bathroom, she didn't think anything of it. But when she came in, I think that's the most mad I'd had ever seen my mom.
Well, your mom's a good lady, and I'm sure she put up with a lot between
For sure.
you and your brothers and your dad, for
Yep.
sure. So knowing all of you guys pretty well, so I could see that as being a a tough parenting task. So.
She says we gave her gray hair. She went gray early.
Yeah.
So she blames that on us.
So you went to Mansfield Christian early on. That's where I originally met you. So from what grade did you, let's kind of start where you started school.
Okay. Started at Grace Christian in Lexington, Ohio, and that went to 6th grade. I was in my last year at Grace Christian. I was in the 5th grade, and Jonathan was 3rd, and Logan was just starting, I believe, 1st grade. We were all kind of like 2 years apart. And then I don't remember how it happened, but we had the opportunity to go to Mansfield Christian, and Mom's like, "Do you want to finish out your year at Grace Christian?" Or I said, "No, let's go to Mansfield Christian. It'll be neat." My cousin Jamie was switching to Mansfield Christian, and we were going to go and be in school together with her. So 6th grade was when I went to Mansfield Christian, and I think that's the first that I had met you. I wasn't super shy, but at the same time, I didn't expand my friend group because there was like 4 or 5 of us that came from Grace Christian, and that's kind of who I hung out with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember those days real well from early on, but I could see that as being a pretty tough transition. But thankfully you had 5 of those people, but all of us were established with our friend groups, and any school you go to is going to be a little cliquey, so that can be really tough for sure.
Yeah, I remember being nervous, like if we were going to fit in, because I mean at Grace Christian, like our class size was like 10 kids. And we had, if I remember right, it was like 1st and 2nd were in the same room, 3rd and 4th were in the same room, and then 5th and 6th were in the same room. So you kind of had like the same teacher for both grades, but you had separate assignments.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think in 6th grade was kind of at Mansfield Christian. I believe they were kind of trying to prep you for that 7th and 8th grade because Mansfield
Mm-hmm.
Christian was set up K through 6th, and then um, junior high actually went into the high school. You had different locker areas, but
Mm-hmm.
um, they, I think they would rotate classes, so you kind of felt like you were switching classes throughout that.
Right. Yeah. I had never switched classes before, but like we would go to chapel, we would go to choir, and before that was all kind of done in,
As a whole.
as a whole, correct?
Yeah. But that
So,
was kind of new for us too, and you know that that was all. Yeah, I think 6th grade is where they started trying to introduce all of those separate little things
yeah.
where you didn't do everything as one class.
And sports wise, Grace Christian didn't have any sports teams, so I didn't know how to play any sports other than I played a little bit of t-ball and baseball growing up, but I had never played soccer or basketball. In 6th grade, I think like Matt Wilgane had asked and Michael Deck to play soccer, and it was like my first time. I remember being so nervous to go to the soccer game because I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and ended up having a lot of fun playing soccer.
Yeah, I remember having a lot of fun playing soccer growing up, but it was parents put me on travel league, which we could talk a whole lot about that. But I think travel league is what made me hate sports so much. Just the constant grind, but it taught me a lot as far as who or how to work with others and how to be a team, even though I wasn't very good. But that was always tough. And I think I quit soccer maybe 7th or 8th grade because I just felt burnout and I was never very good at it. So that was always tough, but definitely lots of good friendship memories. So then you went to Mansfield Christian, did not graduate from Mansfield Christian.
No, so went to Mansfield Christian from 6th to 10th grade. I had always had a dream of owning my own business. My grandpa had his own business. My dad and my uncle had their own businesses, and it was always a dream of mine to own mine. Um, Although what I thought I would be doing isn't what I'm doing now, but I thought I'd be in construction, running equipment, or so back a little bit. In the 11th grade, I transferred to Pioneer, which is a vocational school around us, and I had taken masonry. Um, I had always liked building with Legos, and I thought masonry was going to be like Legos on steroids, but it was a lot of hard work. The brick don't get any lighter, the block don't get any lighter. But I had transferred to Pioneer, and Mansfield Christian, just the curriculum is light years ahead of what the public schools were teaching. So the stuff that I learned in like 9th and 10th grade is what Pioneer was kind of working on in 11th and 12th grade. So
Man, I had a reverse experience of that. Like I went from maybe I just wasn't as bright, but when I left Mansfield Christian in 10th grade, I was so far behind all of the other kids at Lexington. Like I just felt way further behind, and maybe that's because I didn't pay attention at Mansfield Christian. But and my goal was to just horse around. But I felt opposite. So I wonder if there's a little bit of
there,
contrast between like Pioneer and
so there could be a big contrast between Pioneer and Lexington.
that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, but as far as Mansfield Christian to Pioneer, you felt like they were behind the
Oh,
times.
I felt like Pioneer. I didn't, to be honest, I don't know that I opened a book my junior year,
Okay.
and it was easy. Like the neat thing with Mansfield Christian is half my grade or not Mansfield Christian. The neat thing with Pioneer was half my grade was how I performed in my lab, is what they called it. So like
And lab would be like the masonry stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
So we would get, I guess you would call it a blueprint. We'd get a blueprint and we'd have to lay out our project. And we would have 3 days to do that project. So you would lay it out, get your measurements, you'd measure for square, and then you would start to build. And you would have a couple different, you would have like a side elevation, you'd have a top-down view, and like another side. So you kind of had a picture of what it was supposed to look like, and then you had to build it and make it look like that with the measurements being on or really close. And that part of laying brick and block I really liked was, and it's kind of like our faith in Christianity. Like if you don't start with a good foundation, then it doesn't matter how skilled you are at building it. It just will never be what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, and obviously having faith at Pioneer, people could tell I was different.
Well, let's back up just a hair. So like we talked about, you went to the Christian school, your parents were believers. Like at what age did you become a Christ follower? At what point in your life did you feel like that was where you?
It was I was probably 6 or 7. I remember it was at my mom's parents' house, and my cousin Nathan. It was right around Christmas time, and we had to get together, and he was telling me, he said, "Do you know why we celebrate Christmas?" And I knew that like the church answer, because Jesus came and blah blah blah, and then he said, "But do you know the importance of that?" or something along those lines. And I was like, "No, not really." And he said, "Well, God sent his son to earth, and then with the expectation or the knowing that he's going to die for us." And it hit me like I'm here worried about if I got a certain Lego set for Christmas and not understanding the significance of Jesus being born in a manger, the King of Kings. And I can't think of a worse way to be brought into the world than in an animal stall. So then I remember praying with Nathan, and then
How old was Nathan?
Nathan was a year older than me, so he was 7 or 8. It was
pretty deep conversations for young kids, right?
Well, yeah. Nathan's highly intelligent and just has always seen the world differently than I have. But it did a lot to. So that's when I remember like really accepting Christ into my heart, and then understanding what it meant to be a Christian. I mean, I was getting it at church, getting it at school, so I had the right answers, but I don't know that the heart truly believed until then. And I know that that's young, and later on there was a going away period and then coming back, but I knew the truth. I would say probably, right around that 7 to 8 years old.
Right. And then so sorry to sidetrack, but I feel like that's a really important piece in your story. So you get to Pioneer, and then at Pioneer you were mentioning you were starting to say something about Pioneer and your faith.
So because I had faith and I was different than the other kids in the masonry is not like your white collar job. It's tough, and the kids that we had were kids. I would say Pioneer was probably made up of like 60% of the kids that just wanted to get out of their home school and have less work to do. And then the other 40% were probably there to really truly learn a trade or a skill. And you could tell based on how they performed in their labs, how they performed in their school duties. So it was kind of eye-opening, because at Pioneer in 11th grade was the first time that I had heard a teacher cuss.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my chair and like getting cold sweats because I was nervous. Like, the teacher cussed. Like, I've never heard that before in my life. Like, obviously I've heard cussing, but never from
a person of
like somebody in leadership, like a leadership role for teaching. And I was like, this is all right. This is different. And
yeah.
I remember drugs actively being used, and kids would pop pills in the bathroom. I had one guy ask me to take a urine test for him. And it's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, when I left Mansfield Christian, I think I had seen with in one of the classes, and I won't call out the individual because they've changed their lives, but a certain person showed me a bag of marijuana, and I at first I thought he was just joking, but the class above us was always known and is still known to this day for being the class that actually had a drug problem in regards to, you know, the time and age that was, you know, definitely frowned upon. I mean, yes, it should still be frowned upon, but when I went to Lexington, I had 5 of my close friends at Lexington who overdosed and are dead now from heroin and heroin or fentanyl, whatever it was at the time. And some of those were, I think all of them were accidental, obviously, but nobody killed themselves intentionally with drugs. But I mean, I remember one time walking into a Lexington bathroom and seeing a guy snorting cocaine. I saw another kid shoot heroin in the bathroom, and it was like, and then it was constantly walking down the halls. You'd smell somebody take a hit of marijuana. It's like, and for Mansfield Christian, that was a, you know, you're fortunately and unfortunately sheltered there.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully I had a strong faith that I knew that those things were not right. So I'm really blessed in that way. Like, and my parents taught me at a young age to stay away from those things and avoid those things. So that was I'm extremely thankful for that, because I have a personality that when I try something and I like it, no matter what it is, golf, anything, like, even if I'm not good at it, I'm gonna commit time to that, probably to a fault. So
yeah, you and I are similar, that we have this desire to master whatever we get into.
hobby,
Yeah. Whatever we do, we have the desire to just commit 100% of everything we got to it.
Yeah. So 11th grade, kind of eye opener for you, seeing drugs, kind of similar scenarios. You get to graduation, and then was there anything else that was significant in that 11th and 12th grade year that shaped you?
Nothing like super significant that would stand out to me. I had at Pioneer, and I think a little bit of 11th grade, but for sure the 12th grade, they had work release where you would go to school in the morning. So at Pioneer, the juniors did labs in the morning, the seniors did the labs in the afternoon. The reason they did that is so the seniors could get like their English, their social studies, their math, and their science done, and then the last half of the day they could go out in the field and work in their whatever their chosen profession was. So I would leave school. I think I had social studies first, and then I had an English or language arts, and then it was math or science. I don't remember how it went, but it was like 3 or 4 classes I had in the morning, and then it was like at 9:45 I was done for the day, so I got to leave, and I was working for a local contractor. Started off as a laborer, but when I would get caught up, they'd let me jump on the wall and start laying. And I remember having a lot of fun.
Which, do you mind sharing who that contractor was?
It was Greg Darling Masonry was the name
Okay.
of it. And
Was that set up by the school?
this, well, I found somebody that would be willing to use. At the time I was 18, so there wasn't anything against that. And he was willing. I think he paid me like $8 an hour, which I thought was the greatest thing ever, that I could make money and not have to go to school. And he was kind of from Mansfield Christian. It was probably most his jobs were about, or not Mansfield Christian, from Pioneer. Most his jobs were like in southern Richland County. So where Pioneer is like northern Richland. So my first half an hour of my day was driving. So I thought it would, because they would be done at 3, I think like 3:30 they would get done.
Okay.
So
you graduate from there. What happens?
Graduated Pioneer. We do this competition. All vocational schools do it. It was called Skills USA, and I competed at our local level at the school, and I won. So then I went to a regional level, and then I won that, and then I went to the state level for the Skills USA, and I didn't win at state, but I placed well, and I got notice from a large construction company here called Adina, and I guess the foreman of the masonry division at Adina saw some of my stuff and talked to me, offered me a job. So when I graduated high school, I had like a week off to kind of see friends off before they went to college and stuff. And then I started working construction. I started as a mason. I didn't have to labor, but it was eye-opening that how fast people could put material into the wall and have it good.
Like way different than what you learned at.
Way different than what we learned, because we were always taught do it right, do it correctly, and that takes time. The guys on the wall knew that there was a good enough area, and it didn't have to be perfect, but good enough would work to go. So there's a fine line between perfection and excellence, and I was trying to be perfect, so I was slow. I mean, if there was a wall, and let's say there's 30 block to be laid, you've got a guy building the lead at one end, a guy building the lead here, and then a guy in the middle, and you typically will you'll lay from left to right. It's just faster for a right-handed mason to work that way. And I remember like I would get the middle block set, and then I'd be putting the head joints on, and I'd set the second block, and the guy coming from the lead was putting the closure in, and he had laid like 10 block to my 2. And I remember just like, how? But speed comes. It was a neat industry to learn, but it was eye-opening at how different the lab is to real world circumstances. Because I never had to deal with weather. I never had to deal with rain, temperature. All that factors into how fast or how slow the mortar sets up. You know, if the material's wet and the mortar's wet, it's a nightmare to keep clean. But I did that for 10 years, almost 10 years. I had done that. Do you want to?
So from Adina,
Yep.
you went where?
From Adena, I went into fire protection, which seems like a logical choice for anybody.
From Medina you went? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah. The thing with masonry is 99% of everything you do is outside. There's not a lot of people doing brick fireplaces or stone fireplaces anymore. So there's not a lot of inside work in the winter. So I'd gotten laid off in 2011, and I didn't have a family, didn't have a wife. I was still living at home. So I thought it was like a cool mini vacation. Um, but I had a buddy of mine ask me if I wanted to do fire extinguisher inspections. And at the time I was like, what the heck is that? And he's like, well, there's this company called Corson that they're hiring and they just need good people. And I had gone to church with him for a couple years at this point by the time he asked the question. And I was like, well, I'll try. And went down, interviewed for the position, and it was kind of a God thing because I had no idea anything about fire extinguishers. I think the only thing I knew is that they're red, and I had come to find out that not all fire extinguishers are red. So what I thought I knew wasn't even correct.
Mm-hmm.
So started with Corson at late 2011, and worked my, let me see here. I worked as, they called it, a general products technician. And I would go, they'd hand me a stack of work orders. I would schedule it myself. I'd make sure I had all my materials that I needed for the day or for the week, whatever I was doing. I'd go out and do inspections. I remember taking, and this is the God thing, is I was making like $20 an hour at Adena at the time, which for, I had no debt. It was pretty good money. And I remember when I started at Corson, I had taken a pay cut to $13 an hour, and it just felt like that's where I was supposed to be. And I had just gotten married in 2010. So it was I was very nervous because that's a $7 pay cut is pretty big deal pretty early on in a marriage. But it worked out.
Yeah, so you worked your way up through Corson, right? And
Yep.
then you felt that at that point you could do it on your own.
Yep. So I had worked as a general products technician for about 6 months, and then my direct supervisor had left Corson, and they needed somebody to fill the spot. So they asked me if I would be interested in it. I said, sure. So I went from the technician to being in charge of my department where I was working, which I think at the time there was probably 6 of us. And I did that for about a year. And then my manager for the whole general products division got promoted to the assistant branch manager, which moved me over all the general products. And then at that time I had, I think, 10 to 12 people that reported to me, and did really well, got some big contracts, and the jobs got done smooth. Well, it came to my boss was the assistant branch manager. He got sent to Mansfield. So I was working in Columbus, living in Mansfield. He got sent to Mansfield and was the branch manager of Mansfield. So it was probably a year and a half or a 2-year period while he was in Mansfield. I was still doing the general products manager. He got promoted to district manager, and then he brought me up back to Mansfield to run the Mansfield branch as a branch manager. So that's what kind of got me in that time working at Corson. I had moved to Delaware, and big city living is not for me. I didn't like having neighbors. We had just had my oldest daughter, Charlie, and it was rough. There was a lot of feeling like you're on an island in the big city. So not a lot of family support. We didn't have very many friends up there. We didn't have a church that we were plugged into. It was kind of like a free-for-all, just trying to survive. But God saw fit to bring us closer to home. The branch manager position opened up, and I got picked. So
Awesome. So brought you back into Mansfield, Lexington area.
yep, brought me back home. It was neat because at Corson, before I knew about the branch manager position, I had already talked with Nikki, and we were wanting to move back here, back home. So we were in the process of looking for a house to see, what can we afford, because I was planning to still commute to Columbus, and I didn't want to get too far away from the Columbus office. I was looking at things like between 45 and an hour drive every day. And I remember it was May. I had just talked with my wife and my dad, and Dad was going to let us live with them until we found a place. And it was early May. By the end of May, I had the branch manager position in Mansfield, which was a pay raise. And then I was living with Dad, and Dad in that month's time had bought 20 acres along a road and then divided it up into like
5-acre parcels or whatever.
They were like I think they're 2.5 acre parcels down through there. I think that's how it went. Anyhow, and we ended up being able to build a house. We broke ground the weekend of July 4th, and we moved in November 15th. So total God thing from start to finish. Just had no idea. So April of 2014, or when was that? No, April of 2016. Had no idea I would be living in Mansfield, running the Mansfield branch. By December of 2016, we were living here in town, and I was running a branch. It was good.
Yeah. And so from there, in regards to fire protection, you end up leaving Corson, right?
Mm-hmm. So
and because of non-compete, you had to work for your dad for a while.
Yep. Corson, or in the fire protection world, there's a lot of, they call it proprietary information, ways to do things, training. Certain manufacturers have certain codes, things like that. I'd gotten to a point where Corson was changing. The father was retiring, stepping down. The son was taking over. Some of the things that I had liked about Corson were changing. Not good or bad, just different than what I wanted to see. So I don't know when it happened, but it was before COVID. It was probably the winter of 2019 that I was like, I just felt like I was done. Like I wasn't enjoying it. Work was just not a drag, but I wasn't excited, and that's not my personality. So I remember driving to Indianapolis and turning my resignation in beginning of February, and I told them that I would give them a month's notice so that they could find somebody to replace me. So I told them I would like to be done by March 1st. Well, that they couldn't find anybody. They asked me if I could stay on for another month. I said yes. So I stayed on, and I think it was the first or second week of March. Anyhow, it's when COVID started, and they were talking about shutting things down. Nobody would be able to like travel or leave their house. Everybody was going to have to stand 6 foot apart and wear masks. And I remember thinking like the whole time, like, this is going to like shut down coursing, because a lot of what we do, it's driving to people's sites and walking around in there. And it was nerve-wracking because I had quit and I was going to go into a construction field. I had a 1-year non-compete that I had to burn up. So I got my CDL and then started driving truck and helping my dad with, what they were doing. So kind of a God thing again, that I got out of coursing, and with what Dad was doing, it was considered essential. So we were able to continue to work, and it helped me. I learned a lot from my year with Dad, to know that I didn't want to be an excavation. There's a lot that goes on that I had no idea. It gave me an appreciation for what they do, but it's not what I enjoyed.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
for sure. So then you and your business partner got together, and
So before I had a business partner, so when my non-compete was up, I started True North Fire Protection, and I had some contacts. So the God thing with the business, Corson had fired all their national accounts, and they were going to do their own like national account service, which was one of the reasons I was wanting to leave Corson, because we were bonused on revenue, and in the Mansfield branch we did about almost $1 million worth of national account revenue that I was going to have to figure out how to replace, or it was going to impact my ability to hit my bonus. So I was like, man, they're just throwing this money away. And I remember at the time thinking, like, somebody could start a business right now and have $1 million worth of work right now, because we essentially threw it away at Corson. And that's when I was like, I should be that guy. So that's when that mindset started. So quit Dad, started True North. I called a lot of my contacts that I had from when I was at Corson, the national account guys, talked with them. They started throwing work my way. I remember the first week, I was nervous because I had nothing. And my dad and my uncle had given me a loan to start the business. So I wasn't real worried if I went bankrupt, that I knew they wouldn't be super mad at me and I could always go back to driving truck. But the first week, I remember I was like driving around, knocking on doors, thinking like, I don't know how this is going to be sustainable, because I only know so many people. And you feel like, I mean, you know what it's like when that first week, you're like, what, did I mess up? Did I not think this through? And then when stuff starts happening and people are calling you, then it's like, all right, we're doing what we're supposed to.
Yeah, so you have a business partner. You started True North, and that's been running well.
Yep. So my business partner, Nick, so in 2021, I had started True North by myself. My wife, Nikki, was doing a lot of the billing and invoicing while I was out doing work. I would get back and I would do quotes till like 11 o'clock at night. And it was just really taking off. Nick had worked at Corson with me, but he had left 2 years before I did and started his own company. So how our skill set complemented each other was basically Nick knew this half, I did this half, and we started helping each other out, and it was just working really well that we complemented each other personality wise and skill set wise, and it's been good since. Since then, we have grown. We now have 8 full-time employees, and then I have 2 part-time employees in about essentially a 5-year span. And we're the preferred vendor for 3 of the main national accounts in our area. So it's been really good. Not without headaches and stuff, but owning a business, you have that. But yeah. True North has grown at least 50% every year.
Awesome.
It's been neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's move into kind of our most recent thing in life, and that was that you just were elected Troy Township trustee in Lexington, Ohio, in Richland County.
I am now an elected official.
Yeah.
So how did this come around? As a small business owner, health insurance is a big deal. It's an expensive cost. We don't have health insurance at True North yet. We're working towards it, but it's a huge cost on the company. And I was like, what are alternatives? So there was the Christian Health Share stuff that we were doing. I didn't want to buy Obamacare or anything like that. So I think my dad had said, well, run for township trustee, that you get insurance through the county if you get the trustee position. I was like, all right. So I started looking into it. And I talked to one of the trustees at the time, and he's like, yeah, no, you absolutely get health insurance. And he said, best thing to do is just kind of start. He said, let's get you on the zoning board. So you got an idea how things work, what you do and stuff. So I was on the zoning board for about 2.5 years. Then one of the trustees that had been there for 12 years decided not to rerun. And the trustee that I had talked to said, hey, go pull a petition, get it signed, put your name in so you can be on the ballot. He's like, I don't think anybody else is running. So I got elected. There was 2 positions open for trustee, and there was only 2 of us that ran. But it was neat to see my name on the ballot and hit the button to vote for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of surreal.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And so we've really kind of dove in already about your walk with Christ and how that's important. Let's dive into kind of how we met, and then also so obviously we met in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I would say we hung out a little bit, but we weren't really close in high school.
Right.
We were probably both more of the class clowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, and oftentimes we were not in the same class.
No, that was probably smart on Mansfield Christian's
part.
part.
Yeah, for sure.
School for me kind of came pretty easy. So there was times where I didn't feel challenged, and that led me to kind of goofing off. But as far as how I got to meet Josh, probably snow trails is where we really...
Yeah, we skied. Because
really,
there wasn't a lot of kids in our class that skied or snowboarded,
no,
right? And
no.
it was like...
And we had both, like, from little kids on, grown up, essentially skiing.
I think I started skiing when I was like 5.
My mom taught me with a dog leash. She would just strap the dog leash or collar around my waist and hold on to the dog leash, and I would ski down in front of her.
Yeah.
Probably snow trails was the first time that I actually had like an a true conversation with you outside of a school setting. For those of you that don't ski, we don't have mountains around here, so our runs are fairly short. But the chairlift rides take a few minutes to get to the top, and you're stuck with whoever you're stuck with. And I remember riding and having conversations with you, and I think Robbie was one of them.
Yeah, but Robbie didn't ski. I don't remember skiing much with Robbie. But yeah,
there was a few
matter.
kids
Yeah.
from Mansfield Christian that skied, and you got an idea. You see coats that you recognize or skis that you recognize, and then you just wait at the top or bottom, and then you ski together. But met Josh there. That was in school, and then when I got out of school and started working construction, I didn't have a lot of time for skiing, so I don't know that you and I really connected again until.
Well, it was when you did work at my house, and we kind of had a little bit of a falling out.
Yeah, I did some work for you, and just we had different.
We didn't have clear expectations.
Yeah, our expectations were
yeah.
different on what happened, and I mean, I wouldn't say anybody was mad. It just a misunderstanding, and just moved on.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until I was.
You were working at the fire department with Andy.
Yeah, I always had a really good, and still do have a good relationship with your cousin, and but you and I still never hung out during that time, and then it came back to, one of my good friends, Ben, invited you over one time when we were over there hanging out, and that's when we kind of became close friends at that point.
Yeah, so Ben invited us to a Ohio State game. Was it Ohio State?
No, I don't remember.
It was in his
a
garage
dinner or something.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, it was Ohio State game.
It was an Ohio State game. It was in the garage, and Josh's kids are close to my kids' age, and they got along well. My wife loves your wife, so that
they're like two peas in a pod as far as
they're the same woman.
yeah, just different DNA, but their personalities are
which
identical.
is I don't want to say it's unique or weird, but Nikki doesn't really latch on to people quickly, and her and Carrie really connected. And it was, Nikki doesn't have a lot of friends like that where she truly connects with.
But during that time, so we're moving into hormones. So our business is, like I say to everybody, there's no pressure in any of this. But I think at the time when we had first met, like I was trying to quit my other jobs so that I could make CAJO the full-time work. And then, I believe in what we do. And so I am a part of what we do. I receive treatment through another clinic with, the same types of therapies we do, because I can't treat myself. And so I was a big believer in it. And when we were talking about it, you were about 300 pounds when we first met.
Yeah. So with all the work and traveling and stuff, I had quit working out. I had quit doing anything for myself. And I was 298 pounds. And I think it was Andy's wedding. You really talked to me in depth about it.
I kind of wrote you off, honestly, because I was like, yeah, I mean, I knew you were interested, but I wrote you off in the sense, like, I didn't get a feeling that you were going to ever pursue it. And so we just became friends during that time. And then.
Yep. So Josh was talking to me about it, and I did a little bit of research online, and it was, I don't want to say it was early on, but there wasn't a whole lot of stuff available, or I didn't know where to look at the time on hormones and the semaglutide stuff. And Josh was persistent, but not in like a bad way where it was like, Josh is calling, oh my gosh. I would call Josh, ask him a couple questions. Hey, what about this? How does this work? what does this make you do? And, all right. I'm still thinking about it. I'd go another couple weeks, call him, hey, what about this and this? And I think finally I was like, all right, it's something that I thought I could lose weight and exercise by myself. And I had no motivation. I was mopey. I felt awful. Everything just hurt. It's hard to explain because like now it's like I never want to feel that again.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to run a 5K while you're breathing through a straw. It just like you're missing something and you don't know what it is. So I signed up with you, was it 2023?
Yeah, it was 2 to 3 years ago.
2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And almost within the first month, it was the first couple weeks, I started noticing changes because we did the testosterone and the semaglutide together.
Mm-hmm. And
the testosterone, I just felt like I had a ton of energy. It was weird. Like I had always struggled sleeping, and I felt once I got on testosterone, it was in my system. Like I can lay down now, close my eyes, go to sleep, and I can wake up and feel like I got a full night's rest. Before, I could think I sleep for 8 hours, wake up and be just as tired as I was when I went to bed. And I would first thing I would do is go to the fridge, find something to eat, snack, sit on the couch, see if there's any highlights from any of the sporting events from the night before. No motivation. And my relationship with my wife was kind of suffering because I didn't ever want to do anything.
But Nikki was kind of resistant to the whole idea at first too, wasn't she?
Nikki was a big part of the delay. She didn't know what it would do to me and what would happen with it. So we agreed to it, and I think it was springtime.
I mean, it took you 6 to 8 months.
I was going to say it was almost a year from the time you first mentioned something to me till I actually went with it.
Yeah.
And I think we did it in spring, and Josh had invited me to start to work out with him.
No. We have to start. So you didn't start working out until you had already lost a good chunk of weight. And you got to a point in your weight loss journey, and this is kind of important in my opinion as far as what we do and your life change. But you called me up and you're like, and we were talking, I think we were doing one of our telehealth calls with you, and as far as your weight loss goes, and I was pushing you because you were still like 230, 240. And I said, hey, I was like, or you had talked about stopping the GLP-1s. And I said, Shaun, I think you're still about 30 to 40 pounds from where you need to be as far as a healthy weight goes. And you told me that you were thinking of stopping because you were working on a bolt. And you said, I just don't have the back to do it anymore. I remember this. But it wasn't your back. It was, you were referring to the weight that you had. Like, I don't have the weight to break these big bolts. And so I said to you, well, why don't you start working out with me? Because your strength needs to come from your muscle, not your fat.
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah. And so then you started working out with me at that point, and we've been doing that for about 1.5 years.
Yeah. So the story is there's a sprinkler pipe. It's got a flange connection, which means it's bolted all the way around. And I had to break the bolt open. And before, I could just kind of lean on the wrench, and it had 300 pounds of force on it. Well, I went to break the bolt open, and when I pulled down on the wrench, it lifted me off the ground. And I was like, what is going on? I didn't have enough fat to keep myself anchored to pull down. And I told Josh, I was like, yeah, I for what I do, I got to be fat. I got to be heavier than this. And he's like, no, you need more strength. And you said it, fat's not strength. So that was about a year and a half ago. And Josh is a good motivator. He will keep you on. There was days where working out was easy to get up. So we work out like 5 o'clock in the morning, which
Yeah.
it's not always fun getting up that early.
No, but it makes it way easier when you have a friend, and I would say for me, I become a little less motivated to get out of bed by myself, but I had been doing it by myself 3 to 4 days a week. And so I think I had the black membership at Planet Fitness, and you kind of leached off of that for,
Yes.
4 or 5 months, and I'd only bought the black membership so I could try the red light beds, um, and that was at the exact time, and I was getting ready to get rid of it because I had done a 90-day challenge of doing red light therapy at least 4 or 5 times per week, which was beneficial, and so I was going to cancel that, so I kept it another 4 or 5 months just to keep you motivated to come, because I thought, well, if Shaun's got to pay for this, he's probably not going to continue coming, and thankfully Planet Fitness is cheap, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that was that, and now you're down almost probably 90 pounds, right?
Yeah. I'm down 90 pounds from where I started. Have an abundance of energy. It's I'm still not to where I think I want to be. I'd like to be like another 10 to 15 down. It's just staying motivated. It's getting in the gym and committing. So to transition a little bit, Josh had, once I started talking with Josh about this stuff, he invited me to this golf league that he had out in his kennel or his barn.
Which is where we're sitting, which is
Yep.
why the environment's a little different. I just felt like it would be cool to do this podcast in the simulator bay, because it's probably the thing that both of us are most passionate about at this point in our lives.
So golf was one of the sports as a fat kid that you could do and not feel awful.
Right. And so your YouTube handle name is FlyinFatKid.
Yeah. So on YouTube, I'm the FlyinFatKid, and now people are like, well, you're not fat or a kid,
And you're not flying.
and I'm not flying. So,
But that flying aspect came from, was that skiing? Because you've used that name on like AOL Instant Messenger, and then also
FlyinFatKid came around because I wanted to be a pilot.
okay.
Wanted to be a pilot. Even went through like ground school. Was working towards my private pilot's license, and God kind of shut the door on that. I still would like to revisit it once the kids are out, but it's not where he wanted me to be. So, yeah, I was like 4 or 5 hours away from being able to do my check ride to get my private pilot's license, which I feel like I should have seen it through, but the door was pretty firmly shut, so I didn't argue it.
Sometimes bad to reopen doors.
Yeah. So don't know how that's going to work out, but so Josh invited me to this golf simulator league he was doing, and I had played on like the simulator at like the Dick's Sporting Goods, or like a PGA Superstore, and I had no idea what to expect. And I was saying like, man, that's got to cost a lot of money to do. And it was a very, very well built setup, and it worked well.
But it was a budget setup. It was like dirt cheap at the time COVID was going on. The Garmin had come out with the R10, which is a radar-based launch monitor, and I think their listing price was $599, but since COVID shut everything down, it was they were impossible to get. So I found one from a guy who had bought them in bulk and was selling them for higher dollar. I think I bought it off of eBay even, maybe, but either way, I paid $850 for the Garmin R10 because I wanted to. All right. So before the break, we were talking about the we started rolling into the golf simulator setups and whatnot, and my setup was the Garmin R10 that I paid too much money for, but it really was inspirational in us and where we've gotten to today for our current setups. But it was fun, and I would say it worked 60 to 75% of the shots. So oftentimes you would have to hit multiple shots, and Garmin has improved that a little bit.
Which most times, if it didn't read, it was a terrible shot anyhow.
Yeah,
so it was like a free mulligan.
Yeah, it was free mulligan for sure. But that was initially set up. I just bought the cheapest things I could find. At that time, I didn't have the money to dump big money into a golf simulator setup. And so that started with a $80 Amazon projector. I think it was, excuse me. I think that was I think it was like $130. I bought it on Amazon, super, super low. I mean, it was claimed to be 4K, but it didn't work well. I bought a very cheap impact screen. I actually called up Drew Nelson, who used to be former long drive guy who knew the most about golf at the time, that as far as my friend groups go. And I asked him, I said, well, what's your highest ball speed? And I think he said something like 180, 190 miles an hour. And so I was like, okay, well, if Drew's going to be playing, I need at least 190 mile an hour ball speed that an impact screen will take. So I got on Amazon, found one for cheap. I think I still paid $300 or $400 for it, but bought that. And then I bought just the fence, like for chain link fence. It's like a privacy curtain. So like if you have a yard that you want people to be able to see, so I use that for my surround to catch shanks and whatnot. And then I bought bars to hang on the ceiling here to hold that up, and it worked well. I mean, as far as the whole setup goes, but I think you and I have always competed as to who can do better. So I think you saw my monitor, you did some research, and then you bought the Mevo Plus, yeah, which was only slightly better than the Garmin
for twice the price.
Yeah, or even more. Yeah. It was 4 times the price. Didn't you pay about $2,000 for that?
Yeah. So 4 times the price.
Yeah. So 4 times the price for maybe 5% better.
No, I would say the Garmin read everything the Mevo would have.
Yeah, but the benefit to the Mevo was I was anti-Windows platform. I used to be in kind of some tech stuff, worked a lot with Windows, got converted to Mac. So I refused to buy another computer, which delayed me because that restricted me from things like GS Pro, right? So, but you went the step above, and you bought a really decent PC.
Yeah, it wasn't groundbreaking in any way. It had a dedicated graphics card and like 2 gigabytes of RAM, or not RAM, but storage, or 2 terabytes. Yeah, that's what it was, 2 terabytes. And ran GS Pro fine.
It was a way better experience than what you could get with what Garmin's initial software was, which was, I'm blanking on it now. But
you had E6.
Oh yeah, I had E6, and E6 had some awesome courses, but you only got 6 without paying for anything.
Yeah, 6 courses.
Yeah, so then you decided, man, I really like this.
Mm-hmm. I had so much fun playing in they call it the Winter Sim League. It was a blast playing with the guys. It was neat to be, because in Ohio, I mean, really about the end of November to end of March, we don't swing a golf club.
Right.
And I remember like your first 5 or 6 weeks of golf season is still you trying to learn your swing. And I just thought it was so awesome to be able to swing in the winter and have some kind of idea of what it was doing. Because, I mean, hitting into a net is one thing, but you have no idea what the shot did unless you pured it and you could tell you pured it.
Yeah.
But Josh had a pretty cool setup. I remember thinking, I was like, I want this. I don't have a place at my house to put it. So it's in our upstairs attic at the office.
Yeah. So, but there's been more to that story as far as the guys that are intrigued by this golf stuff. So when we first started that, you were 300 pounds, you got into our program. What's incredible about you is your swing speed and your ball speeds. I think that's what makes you very unique. You describe yourself as the world's most average sim golfer, right? I mean, that's what you told me the other day.
The world's most average sim golfer.
Yeah, but despite that, I think your YouTube channel has grown because of the speeds you're able to swing, which is great, but if you don't have good ball contact or impact contact, you know, it doesn't matter, right? You can swing 125 miles per hour, but until you strike the ball center club face, you're not going anywhere.
I was joking with, I think it was you. I said my swing speed was fast, or my swing speed was a higher number than my carry was on one of my shots. It was like 126 mile an hour swing speed, and the ball went 125.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we'll back up here. So then we both still have these radar based launch monitors that are okay for having fun, but they're not great.
I think where the radar units shine is in an outdoor environment where it can lock onto the ball and see the flight of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, if the ball's moving at 180 miles an hour in a 10-foot area, I mean, they do a pretty good job for the data we give them.
I would say it's 70 to 80%.
Yeah, after all the updates, by the time we were done using radar units, I would say probably 75% to 80% of the shots were accurate.
Yeah. So they led to a lot of frustration. I built a lot of YouTube videos on how to make them better, or not a lot, but I created a few during our winter times when it's rough to be inside, you know, or be outside. And so filming is something I've always enjoyed. I may not be the greatest at it, but hopefully some people have learned some things from them. But so that led to winter of that year. I needed to, or I guess winter of 2025. So last year, beginning of the time, I knew I needed to store my boat in this building. And that required me to change my setup. So you helped me. We rebuilt my whole golf simulator. We rebuilt the floor, extended it, made it 12 by 20. And I was still using radar-based launch monitor. But before that, I think end of 2024, you had purchased the Pro TVX.
Yeah, so October of 24, I had gotten the Pro T, and
you gambled because it wasn't a big.
At the time, there wasn't a lot known about the Pro T, but it didn't require subscriptions. It didn't require club stickers. You could use any ball you wanted as long as there was some kind of either name on the ball or a logo for it to track. And the thing that sold me on the Pro T, I think it was Joe Legowski, had done a review, and he kicked the ball with his foot. And on the Pro T impact cam, it showed the ball moving on
off of his foot.
Off of his foot. So it registered the shot. And one of my biggest frustrations with the Mevo was anything like a less than a 10-yard chip. You'd have to hit 4 or 5 10-yard chips trying to get one to read, which unless you could do a flop shot consistently, it didn't like it.
Right. Yeah. So any short chipping was terrible.
Putting was non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, the Mevo worked. The Garmin did not exist at all, which led me to webcam putting, which was an upgrade, but it wasn't an upgrade. It was pretty cool what it would do. And I do miss aspects of webcam putting as far as floor projection goes and being able to see that. So you upgraded the Pro T. I wasn't at a financial position that I could do that because it's not a cheap monitor. It's not the most expensive, but
Right. It's not the top of the line expense, but it's definitely not budget friendly.
it's not budget friendly. But both of our opinions is that it is the best launch monitor that exists.
Playing on TrackMan, the full swing stuff, the GCs, I still prefer the Pro T.
Yeah, me too. I've played on them all. I actually had the opportunity to play. There was one in a vacation home we rented, and it had Unicore XO, and it was a nice setup. But I played on it for a solid week, and I was ready to come back to my Pro T.
Pro T.
Yeah. So Pro T is an incredible unit for what you pay for it, for sure. And in general, I think, like, I've had that question asked, like, if money was not an object, which launch monitor would you buy? And
Pro T.
And for me, hands down, Pro T. Like,
right.
They continue to upgrade. It is a phenomenal unit.
The last update, it just went to dimple tracking, so it now reads dimples, so you don't even need the logo on the ball anymore.
Yeah, and I think I haven't played in about 4 days, but I think that was the last update. But typical for Pro T is 1 to 2 a week as far as updates.
I would say that you could bet that every 2 weeks there's an update for Pro T.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, every 2 weeks there's some kind of update.
Which is sometimes frustrating in the tech world because sometimes it will make something else not work as well, but that hasn't been the case lately. Yeah, I think I've not had any connection issues lately. So,
so in the sim, kind of golf sim world, Josh had a YouTube channel, and I had never done anything with YouTube
that was kind of your main reason
in my life.
Yeah,
right.
Like you have always told me, I want to start a YouTube channel and I just want to stream rounds.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's great, but I don't think you'll get as many subscribers that way. I felt like, and both of our channels are in infancy, but I didn't feel like that was the best way to get subscribers. And actually, when I was committed to my YouTube channel, making a video per week, I was outperforming you by a lot.
Oh, long. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was getting 2-3 a week of new subscribers, which for all you big YouTubers, that's doesn't sound like much because a lot of the big guys are getting hundreds a day. But I think it came with constantly posting your rounds. But that, more importantly, I think in the golf world with Discord and then Simulator Golf Tour and playing all of these events, that's kind of where you're more known than, so to speak, YouTube. But
yeah, the sim golf community is a small community, but it's helpful. Like you can ask a question to any of the big guys, Triple Bogey, Bogey's Backyard, Joe Legowski, and they'll answer you. It's not like it just goes unnoticed. I got to play around with Triple Bogey maybe a month and a half ago, and he's a real deal. Haven't gotten to play with Joe Legowski yet, but we'll work on it.
So shout out, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, coming for you.
Grab FlyinFatKid.
He's world, I think, as of a couple weeks ago, world number 1 in the GS Pro World
Simulator Golf Tour.
In the Simulator Golf Tour. So sim golf for us is more than just through the winter. I enjoy playing with the guys through Discord just as much as I like playing with you guys out on course. The cool thing is we always have a perfect lie. I would say we never lose golf balls, but there is a black hole in every simulator that you'll hit a ball and you'll never see it again. I don't know
I
where.
have a few of those balls.
I don't know where they go.
Yeah.
But golf swing has improved a lot. Losing weight definitely helped. The Vital Core stuff and the multivitamins help with aches and pains. Like, I would have never said that in my life. Like, I hate taking pills.
You still hate taking them.
I still hate taking pills, but I do it because if I don't, my joints hurt. I just don't feel as well maintained.
Yeah. So as far as nutraceuticals go, you are on, I think, just 3, right? So you're on all of Vital Core's products. So you're on the Methylcore B complex, Opticore Balance to help manage and balance our hormones,
Mm-hmm.
and then the NutriCore, which is their D3K2 product, right?
Yeah, and then a fiber gummy.
Oh yeah. You got to keep your regular, right?
But since starting with Vital Core and doing, actually taking them daily, I don't know that I could go back to not taking them.
Unless Nikki wasn't around, and then you wouldn't take them at all.
Nikki makes it easy to be healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just feel so much better, and that's what I tell people is like, I can't tell you to take hormone replacement or to take the semaglutide to lose weight or to take the Vital Core so that the inflammation goes away. It just, I know what I feel like, and if everybody could feel this way, I would love it for them. But when I hear people say like, oh, I'm just tired all the time, I don't have energy, it's like, call Josh, talk to Josh.
Yeah, I think that resistance you had is there with a lot of people, and that's and not to mention it's not inexpensive to do it. But I would challenge people, like,
But if you can buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks every day, you can afford to be on the hormone replacement.
yeah, you may have to make some sacrifices depending on your income level, but I can tell you the same thing. I will never go off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel too good, just turning 40. Like, so actually my employee Brecca just asked me that the other day. She said we were making some age jokes and she was making fun of me for being 40, like I had any control over it. But she said, do you feel like you're 40? And I said, no. I said, I think my exact response was, well, what's 40 supposed to feel like? And she said, well, I don't know, because she thinks she's like 33 or something. And I go, well, to be honest, I feel better at age 40 than I did in my 30s.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I wish I had tried this when you first started. And I was telling somebody, I was like, I feel like I'm 25. I have the energy. I can get up. I can do things. There's not a lot of like laying in bed and sleeping in until 9:30. It's like I'm well rested as soon as I wake up and I'm ready to get up and do something. And you can really tell when your levels are peaking because the house is spotless, the dishes are done, the bed's made, the clothes are folded, the yard's mowed, the garage is clean. It's like you just have energy to do all these little tasks.
Yeah. So how has it improved your relationship with your wife and your kids?
With the wife first, it has helped obviously with the libido area. There's a desire like constantly. And when I was overweight, I mean, it was like non-existent, almost like a chore.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is usually not the case for most men. It's usually the opposite way.
right. I mean, I don't want to say like I didn't want to, but it was like, we can't. It doesn't make a difference to me. But that has changed significantly. I think
More importantly, right, libido is great, and that's why some people come to us. But I think it's important to note that like energy levels are allowing you to be the better husband, the better
right.
father that you know that you weren't because you didn't have the energy. Not that you weren't a good father or husband, but it gives you that energy and the mental clarity to be that, right?
Right. I don't feel exhausted. And like the last thing I want to do is listen to the list that she wants done, or she just ordered a chair from Amazon and wants me to build it. And it's like, I look forward to doing things to help out now, as opposed to being or feeling like I'm just being told what to do. I don't want to, like, I can't explain it. It's just a terrible feeling to be out of shape, overweight, low T.
It's a chore to be overweight, and it's also a chore to be fit.
Mm-hmm.
But would you say the feeling that you have now is significantly better than
1,000%.
yeah?
It was to the point where if I wanted to tie my boots, I would have to hold my breath and force myself forward to tie my boot, and I could only do one at a time. Then I'd have to stand up, or sit back up. I'd be lightheaded, hold my breath, go back in, and do it again.
I mean, not that that's funny, but it is kind of funny, right? I mean,
Where I'm at now, like, not to judge people, but where I'm at now
well,
is
we've both been overweight.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can reach down. I do yoga. We do core. Josh does more running than I do. I hate running.
We're gonna work on that.
So, but I can't explain it in any other way other than the energy is 1,000% more there. It's like having nitrous on a motor that doesn't run out. Like, hey, you want to go faster? Go faster. You want to lift more? Lift more.
Yeah, and it's not. We're not running levels to an unsafe level. Our goal is what we feel is optimal, and to keep you sustained at that level. That's the ultimate goal is consistency on this,
Right,
and not necessarily high levels. Like we want normal high, which our normal high is what we consider optimal.
And I do the pellets as opposed to the injectables. I didn't want to feel like a yo-yo, like a high and a low, a high and a low, a high and a low. With the pellets, I feel it's a nice curve.
Yeah, I had a patient yesterday who had an opposite experience, and he prefers the opposite. He prefers injectables, and he felt like sometimes he was a little too high. And now he came to me from another clinic, and I think that is potentially where his issue was with the pellets, is maybe they were running them too high. But it's a fine balance, and it's always tailored to an individual. But I have the same experience with you. I've done both. I do not like the other, and I prefer the pellets because of that stable feel that you get. And if you're well managed in the proper clinic, then that can be your results.
Yeah, 100% would recommend the pellets to anybody. Yeah, it's life-changing, and it has improved my relationship with my wife, with my kids, with my friends. I would get invited to stuff and I'd say no just because the thought of like getting up and getting dressed and trying to look presentable was awful.
Yeah. But now you're probably not to your wife's preference, but you're working long hours and, you know, I mean, things you have to do as a business owner that you don't necessarily want to do, but you're not doing it out of fatigue. You've got the energy to do it.
Right. And that's I guess that'd be the downside is like sun up to sundown, I could work because there's energy there and there's not a feeling tired or mopey.
But we have to find that fine balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
as husbands and leaders, yes.
yeah.
We've got to be present.
Do you feel like by doing what you've done, your walk with Christ is any better?
Yeah. The devotion time, the reflection time, like I can sit and pray and read the Bible and be focused on it. As before it was like, I'm too tired, God, I'll talk to you tomorrow, or just a lack of desire.
Yeah.
And I think that's something Satan uses. Food is definitely something. I don't want to say that because I'm on testosterone and semaglutide, like the desire to eat and stuff is not there. It's there, but it's knowing that it's a choice. You know, like I know I can sit down and I can eat a whole cheesecake if I want to eat a whole cheesecake, but I know it's not going to be good for me. I'm going to feel miserable, and nothing feels as good as feeling healthy. And how nothing feels as good as thin feels is what my mom always said.
Yeah.
So temporary pleasure or long-term pleasure.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Does a Big Mac and a fry sound good? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. And do we have it occasionally?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you don't feel good after it. I never feel, I notice when I'm struggling and I am traveling or something and I hit a fast food place,
I feel awful the rest of the day.
Well, not only do I feel awful, but I'm never full.
Yeah.
I could have eaten twice what it was that I had and still probably not felt full, which is weird because the calorie consumption from fast food is usually ginormous.
That was probably the most eye-opening thing that I had, because I always thought food equated to energy. Well, proper food definitely does, but I don't have to eat till I'm full every meal. And that's being on the semaglutide has shown me like a fistful of food is a proper serving size. Like I don't need to eat a 20-ounce steak, a side salad, a baked potato, 4 glasses of pop every meal. It's a chicken breast and a salad is more than enough.
Yeah, and a lot of people will tell us that the GLP-1 shut off food noise, which I think is huge in a lot of people's world. You know, that constant fight with food, and I think that's driven a lot from processed foods and ultra processed foods.
Sure.
And sugar. You know, when you have sugar, you want more and more and more and more. Whereas if you eat, you know, if you were to put a 20-ounce steak in front of you, you're probably going to feel satisfied. Most people will feel satisfied or extremely full for a long period of time after eating a protein-dense meal.
Mm-hmm.
So focusing on that is really important, and single whole ingredient foods are single ingredient whole foods is what we should aim for sure.
Yeah, and try to find that in the grocery store. It's
you can, but you have to make a conscious effort
right.
to do so.
Right. The problem is the stuff that's convenient or cheap isn't the stuff that you need to be putting in your body.
Yeah.
If you can find a McDonald's French fry 4 years later underneath your chair and it's not moldy or old and it still looks like a French fry, probably don't want to be eating that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's good ways that we can preserve foods. I recently started a kick of fermenting my own cabbage
Ooh.
and I put in cabbage and carrots and jalapenos. Actually, the acupuncturist that works out of our office gave me some of it because it's so dense in probiotics. And one thing I struggle with right now is my gut health. And I would say that it has definitely improved things, but he ferments his own cabbage and jalapenos and serrano peppers and onions and garlic, and you let it sit anywhere from a week to 4 weeks, and it is really good. First off, but more importantly, has helped my gut quite a bit with all the probiotic content in it, and that way of preserving food is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's just going back to what our great grandparents used to do as just part of their routine. They didn't have a supermarket full of foods that will sit on the shelf for 2 years or a year or 6 months. They had to do their own things, and I think that is really important in our diet, a staple we're missing. So
100%. I try to stick to 3 ingredient or less foods,
yeah.
and I feel better when I can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great rule of thumb for most people. So yeah, but like you said, going to the grocery store, that's impossible unless you're, like we tell all the patients, stick to the outside of the grocery store, right?
Yep, stay away from the middle front.
Yeah, and that's even the outside can be challenging, but in general, most grocery stores put all of their meats and their produce, fruits and vegetables, on the outside of the grocery store, and that's what we tell a lot of patients. Hey, stick to that. I heard that somewhere, and I was like, man, that's a really good.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they put the necessities at the very end, so you have to walk by all the junk.
Yeah, where they probably make their most margin. But yeah, it's a challenge, and I'm not perfect at it, and I'm sure many people are not perfect at it, but it's something that we can strive to do better, for sure. Spending our money in better areas for our foods.
100%.
Yeah, so we dove into a lot, and we talked just a little bit about golf. I thought we would talk a little more about it, but I think this was really great. But is there what's next on what's your next plans for your YouTube channel? Like anything that you're gonna change or do differently?
Right now, there's not a lot of time that I have to put towards the YouTube channel, so it's kind of out of convenience when it happens. I would love to get into doing more review style videos, but that takes a lot more prep and effort to do those. It is nice just to walk in, hit the go live button, and start talking. I love the community. So for me, I like the chats from the live streams as opposed to just me monologuing to myself in the sim and then recording it and then editing it. When I'm scrolling through YouTube, I always like to watch the guys that are real, that it feels like, hey, I could hit that same shot. Like if I'm going to shank, like I'm going to shank. I don't expect every shot to be dead center flushed in the middle of the club, 5 feet from the pin every shot. Like, no, I hit that one off the hosel. It went OB. I am a 15 to 17 handicap golfer outside. I would say probably 10 to 15 strokes better in the sim, just from understanding how the software works, always having a perfect lie. I don't want to say like you can cheat the data, but you learn like certain like certain lies cause this, or certain, like if it's deep rough, you can expect to play 20% more, and it's consistent that way, as opposed to when you're outside. Like if you're in a deep rough, I was like, I don't even know if I can even make contact if I swing at this.
Yeah, like when you're in the deep grass in a sim scenario, like, you know, if that ball is lying in there, A, you're probably not going to find it, but B, if you could find it playing out of it, like you probably might not even be able to swing your club.
Right. Yeah, I had a lie the other day. I was 62 degrees to the left. So I would have been like standing on my, or hitting in between my legs.
Yeah, it's like, would the ball even really stick like that? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to find the...
If you would have even found it.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's the beauty of sim golf, is you find every shot. So you're not counting penalties and extra strokes, but it's... I don't know. Yeah, it is a video game.
Essentially, it's a video game,
and you learn how to play that better, but it's still requires skill. I mean, you can't go out there and just be a good gamer and pop onto GS Pro and be able to play. I mean, you still have to swing the club. I'm the perfect example of that. Like I don't know what my handicap is on sim golf. I mean, my game has improved, but I'm still not good, and I'll still probably, even if I got to scratch, I don't think I'd ever be happy with with that. I'd be like, well, why can't I shoot 5 under?
Well, I think that's the beauty with golf, is as men, we like to solve problems.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do. And every golf shot is a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about golf is we can hit the exact same shots that the pros hit. We are capable of it. Am I able to throw a 103 mile an hour fastball? Nah. But could I hit a green from 250 out and stick it to 5 feet? Yeah. It's like, we could do that.
Yeah, any golfer could.
Any golfer. And that's why, I think that's why we keep coming back, is because
that one good shot for
one feeling of greatness that you have.
Yeah.
And we can shank it and blade it. I don't think anything moves faster than a bladed 60 degree.
Yeah, that's true. That shot where you're aiming for 30 to 40 yards out and you hit it 100.
You're trying to do a nice little floppy flop and you blade it, and it's 120 mile an hour ball speed on a 15 mile an hour swing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's golf is the most frustrating game I think I've ever played, but also some of the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah.
Whether it's sim or outdoor. I mean, I don't know if you feel this way. I still prefer to play outside, but I love the sim golf aspect more and more and more now that I play, and it's becoming a legit sport. Like I would see in the future for sim golf, I bet we see, I mean, there's already paid YouTubers that golf, right? But I would bet we'll see a professional sim golf league if it doesn't already exist.
So I think the TGL's onto something with that, and being that the pros are playing it. And
your idea on the TGL was something that I thought would be the coolest thing that they could add is the pros versus Joes.
Pros, yep.
Yeah, where you randomly pick some person, you know, and they could screen it, you know, you know, you need at least this good of a handicap to do this, but they pick some random person out of the crowd and then they get to play against the pros.
So I had an idea for the TGL that as a penalty or a challenge, that if I'm playing Josh's team, I'll pick somebody out of the audience that'll have to take a shot for one of Josh's players, and he'll do the same thing for me. Then it gets the audience involved with it.
Yeah.
So
I haven't watched enough TGL to know how that would work, but I was like, that would be the coolest rendition to TGL that I think they could do.
Like Tiger comes out, red challenge flag, throws it out, and then he's like, you come down and you hit this 15-yard chip or hit this drive over the water to this island green.
I think they could drive their views through the roof with that, and that would be
Oh,
really cool.
imagine if it's just completely random.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you need, a plus 20 handicap, I'm your guy, TGL, for sure. So I would be your first Joe, and it would be entertaining. I guarantee I can make it entertaining.
Oh man. Like I'll swing 120 mile an hour and then ball go 67 yards.
Yeah, I saw you do that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's love sim golf. Do I like it more than outdoor golf? I don't think anything will ever compare to outdoor golf, but for the sake of time, I can do 18 holes in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And right now, where I'm at in life with the family and the kids and just business, time is what I don't have. So a lot of my rounds are in the sim right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's winter at this point, but yeah, I'm the same way. Like there's times where it's like, well, the weather isn't perfect. I need to do X with the family. So I'm going to go out and play for an hour. And usually I can get, that 18 or more in that time with startup and close down. And I think that's, and the fact that I'm not spending greens fees. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I spend a lot.
You spend all your green fees up front.
You do, and it never ends.
You're always tinkering.
Always tinkering, which I enjoy. Always thinking of what you could do to make it better. And I've got so many ideas. It's just, I think finances are what restricts you sometimes, and the time to do it. So I'm a hands-on guy. I'll never pay somebody to do it for me at this point in my life.
Right.
I know I can make it a 9 out of a 10 versus paying somebody to do it as a 10 out of a 10. And I'd say yours is definitely nicer as far as your setup goes, but I would say from a functionality perspective, mine works great.
Oh, I think 99% of people be thrilled to have.
Oh, I'm thrilled with my setup.
100%.
I'm super blessed to have it, and very fortunate that my wife was okay with me doing it. So
Okay, might be a stretch.
well, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, and you've been instrumental in my setup as far as encouraging me to do more functional things like my floor that we just redid. That I was wanting a better projector and wanting a better screen, and you were like, well, what you have works, and
Yeah.
it looks great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it could look better, and so we chose to put in the floor instead, as far as our stance pad goes, and that I think was a good choice for
Yeah,
sure.
the only part that we actually interact with is the hitting mat.
Yeah. And you use Country Club Elite.
Mm-hmm.
So
Country Club Elite.
there's a lot of guys that bash it, but I've played on a few different surfaces, and I don't know that I've found one that I like better.
The Softy, the Sig Pro Softy is softer than the Country Club Elite, but it also wears down way faster.
So yeah, if you're a digger, it's a great hitting surface, but I think from functionality, I mean, I bet you have 40,000 shots off of your
At least.
and there is no sign of wear.
No.
And I know guys complain about injury. I think that's probably more how they swing the club than it is the surface.
The guys that have the elbow pain, and honestly, I think a lot of it is fitness. I mean,
yeah, but I've seen golf injuries from guys who are fit and playing regularly. But every time, you and I have both taken lessons from Tyson Deskin. Shout out Tyson. You've definitely improved my swing, and I think it's going to click eventually. But like if I have neck pain, which is what I struggle with in the golf world, that was the main reason I went for lessons. Was what am I doing wrong in my swing mechanics that's causing me to have neck pain? And he has significantly helped me reduce that. And I think it would be eliminated if I was able to do exactly what he says all the time. But every time I have a pain, I'll hit him up like, hey, what am I doing here? And he's like, well, come in for a lesson. We'll fix it. And so it's been helpful.
I watched a couple of your lessons, and Josh told Tyson, he's like, well, this feels wrong. And Tyson basically said it feels wrong because it's right. What feels right to you is wrong.
Yeah.
And that clicked with me, because it's like we swing what feels normal to us, but it's not normal. It's what we're comfortable with. And I think life is the same way. If it's hard, it's probably what we should be doing, because if it's easy, then we're just complacent.
Yeah, I've said it before. Like, I'm not a morning person. We talked about how it's a lot easier on hormone therapy to wake up early and do the things that we need to do. But I think it's important that we challenge ourselves to do things that we hate. And not that we hate golf, but I can tell you, like what I told you the other day, it's hard to humble yourself to receive instruction when you think that you are right in what you're doing. And I think golf is big in that. Like when you were helping me with my chipping the other day, it's like, well, what you're telling me is different than what Tyson told me. And not that what Tyson definitely didn't tell me anything wrong, but we had one session for 20 minutes on chipping, and you and I worked on it for almost 2 hours. And Tyson was telling me the same things. I was just hearing it a different way, which is what clicked. And but it's tough, because I look at that and I'm like, well, I have to humble myself enough to realize that Shaun knows more than I do, or does this aspect of golf better than I do, or in general all of golf. But it's tough to humble yourself to receive instruction to better yourself, and that's something that I struggle with, is just understanding. I can't remember exactly how I sent it to you, but as soon as I left that day, I was like, I had that thought, and I was like, I need to send that to Shaun so I remember it, but also like, thank you for that, that instruction. So that
You're
was
welcome.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll stick, but hopefully I don't do what I do with every lesson I did with Tyson and revert back to the things that I'm not supposed to be doing. But
I know for me, when things feel off, it's because my foundation is off. And I think that applies in life too.
yeah.
When you feel off in life, check your setup, check your foundation.
Yeah.
Because without a good foundation, and nothing else works.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good spot to end this. Yeah. I mean, that goes back to your masonry.
Everything.
Like that masonry is cool, because if you don't have it laid out right, it's not going to look good in the end.
Right.
And that foundation is what we need in our walk with Christ, in our daily life, our marriages, with our kids. That's tough. If you start out on a rocky one, sometimes you got to tear it down and redo it.
Yep. Not being afraid to start from scratch also.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts. Take your health seriously. It's you get one shot at this. Don't go through life being miserable. Find the Lord, find church, get plugged in. That's spiritual health is just as important, if not the most important thing that we can do. And then physical health. And I think mental health will lead to, or spiritual and physical health will lead to a good mental health.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, Shaun, thanks so much for coming.
You're welcome, sir.
This was a blast. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Hopefully some people will get something from this. And
yeah.
So looking forward to our round tomorrow.
Thursday night thunders.
Yep. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.